Tonight we explore a side of our world that's been ignored for far too long. Not the stars, not ancient ruins, but something just as mysterious: our own oceans. More than 80% of the world's seas remain unmapped, unobserved, and unexplored. And within those uncharted depths lie things science still can't explain. Anomalies, ruins, creatures, and signals that challenge what we think we know about this planet. So before you get comfortable, as always, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. But only if you enjoy our content. And let us know, where are you watching from, and what time is it for you? Sometimes our stories keep people up. Other times, they're the perfect way to drift off. Now, dim the lights. Turn on a fan for some gentle noise. And let's dive into tonight's journey together. In the summer of 2011, deep in the cold, dark waters of the northern Baltic Sea, a team of Swedish treasure hunters stumbled upon something that would change their lives, and perhaps the story of our planet. Ocean X, a group normally searching for sunken ships and lost cargo, was scanning the seafloor when their sonar picked up something strange. What they saw wasn't natural. Not at all. It was a massive circular formation, nearly 200 feet wide, sitting silently 300 feet beneath the surface. It had sharp edges, straight lines, and what looked like a staircase leading into its side. The sonar images resembled something crafted, engineered, not shaped by nature. Some even thought it looked like the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars. Curious, the team sent divers down, and that's when things got truly unsettling. As they approached the object, their equipment started failing. Cameras cut out, lights dimmed, compasses spun in wild circles. Even GPS signals were lost. The closer they got, the worse it got, as if the anomaly was surrounded by some unseen force interfering with electronics. Samples taken from the site showed strange materials, metallic elements not typical of the seabed, and there was no sign of volcanic activity or other natural events that could explain how such a structure came to rest there. Even stranger, the area lacked the usual signs of sediment accumulation. It was clean, like it had landed recently, or was being maintained. Mainstream scientists were quick to dismiss the findings, labeling it a rock formation sculpted by glaciers. But the divers didn't buy it. The lines were too straight, the surfaces too flat. And that electromagnetic field? Glaciers don't do that. Despite media attention and multiple expeditions, no clear answers emerged. The Swedish government remained silent. Funding dried up. The anomaly was left behind, still there, deep under the water, undisturbed. To this day, no one can fully explain what it is. A natural mystery? A forgotten ancient structure? Or something not of this earth? Whatever it is, it's waiting. Quiet, massive, and very much real. Just sitting there, watching. 2. The bloop, a sound that shouldn't exist. In 1997, something stirred in the deep Pacific. Something that, by all known science, shouldn't exist. Far from any shipping lanes or undersea cables, a group of hydrophones, underwater microphones originally designed to detect enemy submarines, picked up a sound. It was unlike anything ever recorded. Low, thunderous, and rising in pitch, the sound came in a slow, deep pulse. It echoed across thousands of miles of ocean. Researchers at the US National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration gave it a nickname, the bloop. At first, it seemed like just another underwater noise, until scientists realized its true scale. The bloop was so loud, it had been picked up by sensors more than 3,000 miles apart. For that to happen, the source would need to be massive, far larger than a blue whale, larger than any known sea creature. Theories flooded in. Some said it was the cracking of glaciers, ice quakes beneath Antarctica. Others suggested deep-sea volcanoes or underwater landslides. But here's the problem. None of those explanations fit the frequency, strength, or organic pattern of the sound. It wasn't just noise. It sounded alive. There was no earthquake, no eruption, no impact. Just the sound, low, clean, and unrepeatable. The Noe, perhaps unnerved by the attention, quietly filed it under unknown. They later suggested it was likely ice, but off the record, many marine researchers remained unconvinced. It didn't behave like ice, and it never happened again. Conspiracy theorists took it further. Some pointed out that the coordinates were eerily close to where H.P. Lovecraft had set the fictional city of R'lyeh, home of the ancient sea god Cthulhu. Was it just coincidence? Or had something stirred in the trench? No follow-up signals. No signs of movement. Just that one deep booming sound, echoing through the vast darkness. Today, the bloop remains one of the most powerful and unexplained acoustic events in recorded history. It came from deep in the southern Pacific, where few ships go and fewer people look. Whatever made that sound, it's still down there, in the cold, in the dark, listening perhaps, or waiting to call again. 3. The Yonaguni Monument, Japan's sunken enigma. Off the southern coast of Japan, near the island of Yonaguni, lies a mystery carved in stone and water. Beneath the waves, just 80 feet below the surface, divers discovered what appeared to be a massive structure. Terraces, stairways, and platforms, all chiseled into the rock. At first glance, it looked like a natural formation, until it didn't. The stone blocks are enormous, some stretching nearly 500 feet long. Sharp angles, flat surfaces, right-angled corners, steps that descend with mathematical precision. There's even a large flat area some call the stage, and what appears to be a long road leading to it. Some sections resemble altars, corridors, and even walls. It doesn't feel random. It feels designed. Marine geologist Masaki Kimura, one of the first to study the site in depth, believes it's man-made. According to his analysis, the structure could date back over 10,000 years, meaning it would have been built long before any known civilization in Japan. But if that's true, it would rewrite history. Mainstream geologists are skeptical. They argue the monument was shaped by tectonic activity and natural erosion. They say it's just how sandstone erodes over time in water, forming sharp angles and flat layers. And yet, natural processes don't usually leave behind what looks like tool marks, or staircases, or what some divers believe are hieroglyphs carved into the surface, now blurred by the ocean's hand. There are legends too. Local Okinawan folklore speaks of an underwater palace that sank long ago, taken by the sea after a great calamity. Some call it the Atlantis of the East. Others believe it could be Mu, a mythical lost continent said to have existed in the Pacific long before Egypt or Mesopotamia. No official excavation has ever been done. The site remains underwater, difficult to access, and rarely studied. The mystery remains, not just in the stones themselves, but in the silence surrounding them. What if this is more than rock? What if it's a forgotten city, one that slipped beneath the waves long before our history books began? It waits in silence now, slowly eroding, hidden beneath currents and time, and yet, still whispering its story to those who choose to listen. 4. The Milky Sea Effect. The ocean that glows without a sound. Imagine sailing through the Indian Ocean on a calm night. No storms, no moon, just the sound of the waves against the hull. But then the sea ahead begins to glow. Not just a shimmer or sparkle, but a vast ghostly whiteness spreading in every direction, for miles. This isn't fantasy. It's a phenomenon known as the Milky Sea Effect, a surreal display where the ocean appears to glow with a soft, pale light, stretching out for hundreds of kilometers. Sailors who've witnessed it describe it as sailing through a sea of milk. The glow doesn't ripple, it doesn't pulse, it simply is. And science still doesn't fully understand it. For centuries it was treated as sailors' folklore, another tall tale whispered under the stars. But in 2005, NASA satellites captured the first confirmed image of a milky sea glowing in the Indian Ocean. It covered an area larger than the state of Connecticut, over 15,000 square kilometres. The leading theory, bioluminescent bacteria. It's believed that colonies of luminous bacteria, possibly Vibrio harveyi, gather on the surface of the ocean in massive numbers, clinging to algae or other organic material. When conditions are just right, they emit a constant glow. Not a flicker like plankton near shorelines, but a steady, even light. Still, the explanation feels incomplete. Why do these bacterial colonies gather in such vast uniform spreads? How do they remain undisturbed by the waves or currents? And why is the event so rare that it's only been captured a handful of times in centuries? There's another detail. Every time a ship has sailed into a milky sea, it's been silent. Unnaturally so. As if the ocean itself is holding its breath. Some sailors say it feels like entering another world, quiet, glowing and inexplicably cold. Like the sea is watching. Like something ancient and intelligent lies beneath the glow, just out of reach. To this day, the Milky Sea effect remains one of the ocean's strangest, most peaceful, and most unsettling mysteries. It doesn't roar, it doesn't crash, it simply shines, quietly, endlessly, and when it vanishes, it leaves no trace, just memory, and questions that no one can yet answer. 5. The Shag Harbour incident, the UFO that sunk beneath the waves. It was the night of October 4th, 1967. A quiet fishing village on the southern coast of Nova Scotia was winding down as evening settled over the Atlantic. But in the skies above Shag Harbour, something strange was unfolding. Residents reported seeing bright orange lights moving low and fast, too low for planes and too slow for meteors. Then, a loud whistling noise, followed by a crash. Something had entered the water. Witnesses, including airline pilots and local fishermen, watched in disbelief as a glowing object plunged into the ocean just offshore. It didn't explode. Instead, it bobbed for a moment on the surface, glowing faintly, before disappearing beneath the waves. Locals thought it might have been a downed aircraft and quickly alerted authorities. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police responded, and so did the Coast Guard. Search boats combed the area through the night. Divers were sent down the next morning. But what they found was nothing. No wreckage, no debris, no oil slick. Just cold, quiet water. The Canadian military classified the incident as a genuine UFO crash. That term didn't mean aliens. It simply meant something unidentified had entered the sea. But what truly puzzled officials was what came next. A few days later, military sonar operators picked up a second object, moving underwater near the original crash site. It was silent, large, and not responding to hails. Then, a third. Rumours began swirling. Some claimed 2 craft had rendezvoused underwater. That one was damaged, and the other came to assist. There were whispers of naval vessels quietly monitoring the area from a distance, then suddenly pulling out without explanation. The official records from the investigation remain vague. Witnesses were never given answers, and the Canadian government quietly moved on. But the people of Shag Harbour never forgot. To them, it wasn't a myth. It wasn't a trick of light or weather. They saw something fall from the sky. They saw it float. They saw it vanish. And what haunts them most isn't the sighting itself. It's the silence that followed, because whatever it was that entered the water that night, it didn't break, it didn't burn, it didn't die, it simply sank. And maybe it's still there. 6. The underwater pyramids of Cuba, a lost city beneath the waves. In 2001, just off the coast of western Cuba, something unexpected was found beneath the sea. A team of researchers, led by marine engineer Paulina Zalitsky, was conducting a sonar survey of the ocean floor for a Canadian exploration company. They were searching for sunken Spanish galleons, old ships, gold, pieces of the past. But what they discovered was far older and far stranger. The sonar images revealed geometric shapes on the seafloor. Not random scatterings, not broken rock, but a city-like layout, symmetrical blocks, intersecting lines, and, most curious of all, what appeared to be massive pyramids. Some of the structures reached over 100 feet tall. Others looked like roads, domes, and angular foundations, far too precise to be natural. They rested about 2,000 feet below the surface, where sunlight never reaches and where no known civilization could have built. Zalitsky and her team were stunned. They captured sonar data and sent robotic cameras down. The footage was murky, but enough to reveal large stone blocks arranged in deliberate patterns. Many of them were carved. Some had what appeared to be inscriptions. But that only raised more questions. If these structures were man-made, they must be at least 10,000 years old, built before the last ice age, when sea levels were lower and land masses stretched further. That would make them older than the Egyptian pyramids, older than Sumer, older than any known human city. The implications were staggering. And then, everything went quiet. The Cuban government restricted access to the site. The footage was never widely released. Funding dried up, and mainstream archaeology turned its back, calling the discovery unlikely or unverified. Zalitsky's research faded from the spotlight, but the images remain. Dark pyramids beneath the Caribbean, roads that vanish into silt, stone cities in silence. Locals began calling it the Cuban Atlantis. Theories swirled, of an ancient civilization swallowed by the sea, or of a global cataclysm long forgotten. To this day, no official expedition has returned. The waters remain undisturbed, the structures remain unexplained, but they are still there, deep beneath the surface, waiting in the dark, silent as stone, older than memory, and possibly older than history itself. 7. The Ningen, the ghostly giant beneath Antarctic ice. In the frigid remote waters near Antarctica, where few ships travel and even fewer people dare to explore, whispers have emerged over the last few decades about something strange, something big, something human-like. They call it the Ningen. First reported by Japanese whale research vessels in the early 2000s, the Ningen is said to be a colossal, pale white creature, nearly the size of a blue whale. But unlike any known marine animal, this being has arms, legs, and sometimes a face. Descriptions vary. Some say it resembles a massive humanoid floating just beneath the surface. Others claim it has fins for arms, or a mermaid-like tail. But nearly all accounts agree. It appears late at night when the waters are eerily still, and when lights are shone on it, it vanishes. Sailors speak of shadows in the mist, of something brushing against their hulls, of shapes too large and too silent to be ordinary. Photographs and grainy videos have surfaced online, usually unclear, distorted, or taken from a distance. A pale figure, a bulging mass with what might be eyes. None of them confirm anything, but none of them rule it out either. Scientists dismiss the Ningen as folklore, a mix of misidentified icebergs, imagination, and isolation-induced hallucinations. After all, the Southern Ocean is vast, freezing, and mostly unmonitored. But that's exactly what makes it so compelling. Because if something unknown were to hide anywhere on Earth, it would hide there, far from satellites, far from coastlines, beneath a ceiling of ice in waters deeper than skyscrapers are tall. Some believe the Ningen is a surviving relic of an ancient time, a species that never left the ocean. Others wonder if it's something new, evolving in the silence, adapting in the dark. But the most unsettling theory, that it's not hiding from us at all, that it watches, that it follows ships not out of fear, but out of curiosity. To this day, no scientific mission has confirmed its existence. No expedition has brought back evidence. And yet, sailors still report it. A white giant beneath the sea, not swimming, not fleeing, just floating, still, pale, watching. 8. The Julia sound, a voice from the deep that no one can trace. On March 1st, 1999, a sound began rising from the deep southern ocean. It wasn't thunder. It wasn't an engine. It was long, low, and strange, almost like a moan. It pulsed through the sea, echoing across thousands of kilometers. Scientists gave it a name: Julia. Captured by the US. NOAA's underwater listening system, the sound lasted for nearly 15 seconds, long enough to confuse analysts and raise questions. What kind of phenomenon could produce such a prolonged, far-reaching signal? The first theory was simple: an iceberg scraping the seafloor. But the pitch was off. The signature wasn't consistent with known glacial events. It was too clean, too organic. Some described it as sounding almost like a voice, low, mournful, and distant. The source was triangulated to a remote, empty patch of ocean near Antarctica. No islands, no ships, no seismic activity, just open water. Then came the rumours. Not long after Julia was detected, a classified satellite reportedly captured a large, shadowy shape moving underwater in the same region. That detail was never officially released, only whispered about by former personnel who'd worked on related projects. Was it coincidence? Or did something massive move through that part of the ocean the same moment Julia was heard? What made Julia stand out wasn't just its tone or length. It was the loneliness of it. A single, unexplained cry. Never repeated. Never followed by any trace. Not a school of fish. Not a seismic shift. Just silence. In deep-sea folklore, people speak of the ocean as a living entity. Not metaphorically, but literally. That somewhere beneath the waves, something ancient waits, not malevolent, not benevolent, but vast and unknowable. Was Julia just a geological noise? Or a voice calling out from the abyss? No one has heard it since. No similar signals have followed. But for one brief moment, something deep and hidden seemed to speak, or sing, or sigh, and then retreat into stillness. And that's what unsettles those who study the deep. Not the noise itself, but the fact that whatever made it once, heard, then gone. A message, a warning, a farewell, or just the deep sea breathing in its sleep? 9. The Mariana Trench Spiral. A pattern. Too perfect for nature. Far beneath the surface of the Pacific, deeper than Mount Everest is tall, lies the Mariana Trench, the deepest known part of Earth's oceans. It is a realm of crushing pressure, freezing darkness, and silence so complete it feels almost sacred. And yet, in 2016, during a routine deep-sea mapping mission, researchers detected something on the trench floor that didn't make sense. A spiral, not a random swirl of sediment or a curved ridge formed by volcanic activity. This was a deliberate-looking pattern, concentric rings, evenly spaced, coiling inward like a seashell or a labyrinth. It spanned hundreds of feet and sat undisturbed at a depth of nearly 36,000 feet. Satellites can't see that far down. Even submarines struggle to reach it. The image came from deep-sea sonar, and when the readings were cleaned up and enhanced, the formation looked symmetrical. Too symmetrical. At first, scientists thought it could be the result of shifting tectonic plates or deep ocean currents, but no known geological process creates spirals that perfect. Nature is wild, chaotic, asymmetrical, not mathematical. No expedition has returned to confirm what the sonar saw. The cost, danger, and difficulty of reaching that depth is immense, but the anomaly remains in the data stored quietly in the archives of deep-sea research organizations. And it's not alone. Since that discovery, similar spiral patterns, smaller, less defined, have been spotted in other parts of the ocean floor, always at great depths, always in places humans rarely touch. Some believe it's natural art, patterns etched by deep ocean life, like the geometric sand circles made by pufferfish. But pufferfish don't live miles below the surface. Others whisper theories of ancient machinery, forgotten civilizations, or even messages left behind, not written in ink or stone, but carved into the planet itself. The Mariana Spiral doesn't move. It doesn't emit light. It doesn't make a sound. It simply exists, immovable and unexplained. It might be just rock. It might be more. But in a place where no human walks, where sunlight has never reached, something made a mark. Perfect, beautiful, and utterly out of place, and perhaps not meant to be seen. 10. The Lost City of Pavlopetri. A sunken time capsule. Off the coast of southern Greece, beneath the crystal-clear waters of the Laconian Gulf, lies a city frozen in time. Not myth, not legend, a real city. Streets, buildings, courtyards, walls, entire neighbourhoods, perfectly preserved beneath the waves. This is Pavlopetri, the oldest known underwater city in the world. Discovered in 1967 by an oceanographer and fully mapped in the years that followed, Pavlopetri is estimated to be over 5,000 years old. Older than classical Greece, older than the pyramids of Giza. Yet the layout of the city feels strangely familiar. Straight streets run between rectangular buildings. There are wide-open plazas, carefully placed drainage channels, even tombs, and what appears to be a central road leading to a port. Whoever lived here planned their city with care and intelligence. They understood engineering, architecture, urban design. And then it disappeared. No volcanic eruption buried it like Pompeii. No earthquake broke it into pieces. The land simply slipped beneath the sea. Some geologists believe a series of slow tectonic shifts and rising sea levels over centuries caused the coastline to sink. But even that doesn't fully explain the pristine preservation. The city sits under only 10 to 15 feet of water, and yet it remained hidden from the modern world for millennia. Untouched, undisturbed. And it raises a bigger question. If something like Pavlopetri could vanish so silently and completely, how many other ancient cities lie just offshore, lost to time and tide? No myths surround Pavlopetri. No ghost stories. No ancient texts tell of a great sinking or forgotten catastrophe. It's simply gone. A quiet city, once full of life, now resting under the sea, watched only by passing fish and the occasional diver. The structures haven't crumbled. The layout is still legible. In some areas, time seems to have paused, as if waiting for someone to return. But no one ever did. Unlike the grand ruins on land, Pavlopetri was a place for everyday people. Merchants, families, children. Their voices are long gone, but their footsteps still echo through the underwater streets, etched in stone, preserved by silence. A living memory beneath the waves. And perhaps a gentle reminder. Nothing, not even cities, lasts forever. 11. The Devil's Sea, Japan's forbidden waters. Off the southeastern coast of Japan, stretching between the archipelago and the Mariana Trench, lies a body of water with a chilling reputation. Locals call it Ma no Umi, the Sea of the Devil. Western sailors have another name, the Dragon's Triangle. For centuries, this region has been a place of disappearances. Ships vanish. Planes lose contact. Compasses spin without cause. And strange mists roll in without warning, cloaking everything in a pale, silencing fog. Like its infamous twin, the Bermuda Triangle, the Devil's Sea is said to swallow vessels whole, leaving behind no wreckage, no distress calls, no survivors. Just silence. Between 1952 and 1954, Japan lost 5 military vessels in the area, over 700 crew members gone without a trace. The government declared the region too dangerous for navigation. An official research vessel, the Kaiomaru No. 5, was sent to investigate. It vanished too. Some blamed volcanic activity. The sea is known for its deep trenches and underwater seismic shifts. Others claimed rogue waves or sudden whirlpools. But eyewitnesses tell different stories. Fishermen speak of glowing lights beneath the water, following their boats before vanishing. Pilots have reported unexplained turbulence, aircraft systems failing without cause, and sightings of strange orbs flying just above the waves. Local legends go back even further. Ancient Japanese texts describe sea dragons rising from the depths, creatures with shining scales and impossible size. Temples along the coast still feature carvings of serpents emerging from the ocean, eyes wide, mouths open. More than a few believe this area is a window zone, a place where the boundary between our world and another grows thin. A portal, perhaps, or a scar left by something long gone, but not forgotten. Despite its reputation, the Devil's Sea remains poorly studied. Few modern expeditions dare enter its heart. Navigation systems often fail, and weather reports are notoriously unreliable. Even satellites sometimes lose connection over this patch of ocean. No one knows exactly what lies beneath the surface, or why this sea behaves so strangely. But one thing is certain. The Devil's Sea doesn't just pull things down, it erases them. No sound, no wreckage, no trace, only the waves and the quiet. 12. The Caribbean Steps. A staircase beneath the sea. Hidden beneath the warm blue waters of the Caribbean, just off the coast of the Bahamas, lies a formation that defies explanation. Divers call it the Caribbean Steps, massive flat stone platforms stacked one over another, as if leading somewhere deeper. They aren't small. Each step stretches for dozens of feet, with edges so straight and angles so precise they appear man-made. The entire formation rises from the seafloor like a staircase, carved from a single colossal stone. But there's no structure it leads to. No walls. No doorway. Just steps. And silence. At first glance, some say it resembles a natural terraced reef. But the symmetry is uncanny. The right angles, uniform height, and near-perfect alignment challenge the randomness of nature. And there's something else. No coral. Unlike most undersea rock surfaces in the Caribbean, these steps are oddly bare, as if untouched by time, or something keeps it that way. Local divers whisper legends passed down from their grandparents, stories of giants who walked the ocean long ago, of a sunken path once used to reach a city that no longer exists. Some call it the Path of the Ancients. Others believe it may be a remnant of the lost continent of Atlantis. Geologists, cautious in their conclusions, suggest it may be a result of ancient tectonic uplift or submerged coastal platforms from when sea levels were lower during the Ice Age. But even they admit formations this geometric are extremely rare. What's more mysterious is how little study has been done. No full survey. No sonar maps. It's as if this place has quietly resisted attention, remaining hidden in plain sight beneath one of the world's most travelled tourist destinations. Divers who visit say it feels different down there, peaceful but heavy, as if the sea is holding its breath. Some even report a strange stillness in the water, as though the current stops when they draw close. No one knows who or what created the Caribbean Steps. Perhaps nature had a moment of strange precision, or perhaps someone long ago built something monumental and left it behind. Now it rests beneath the waves, unclaimed, unexplained, waiting. 13. The sound of upsweep, a signal that never ends. Far out in the Pacific Ocean, deep below the surface where the water turns black and pressure crushes all but the hardiest life forms, a sound has been repeating. Not once, not twice, but over and over. For decades. Scientists call it upsweep. First detected in 1991 by the Pacific Marine Environmental Laboratory, upsweep is a long-distance, low-frequency sound composed of rising tones. It comes in bursts, like waves of musical notes, repeating in eerie rhythm, echoing across vast stretches of open ocean. The pitch slowly rises, hence the name. But the source? Still unknown. It's most active during certain seasons, especially in the spring and fall. No one knows why. It's not tied to tectonic movement. It's not linked to volcanic activity, at least not directly. And no marine creature on record produces this kind of rhythmic, structured sound. Upsweep has been narrowed down to somewhere near volcanic arcs in the central Pacific, but that's where the trail ends. The exact coordinates remain vague. It's as if the ocean itself is humming a tune, and we're only hearing the chorus. Scientists have offered theories. Perhaps it's gas escaping from a vent, or a strange type of underwater seismic activity. But these are guesses. No explanation fits perfectly. What unsettles some researchers is its consistency. Most mysterious ocean sounds are one-time events. They appear, they vanish, they fade. But Upsweep has kept going for over 30 years. Always the same structure, always the same rhythm. A signal, maybe? Those who spend too much time thinking about it begin to wonder, what if it isn't a natural sound at all? What if it's artificial? Some kind of sonar, a beacon, or something older. A machine left behind, still running, still sending its message out across the empty deep. Whatever it is, no ship has found its source. No submarine has followed it to its end. It just continues. Night after night, year after year, a pattern in the dark. Not loud enough to scare, not short enough to forget, just persistent, constant, and maybe meant to be heard. If the ocean has a pulse, then this might be it. 14. The sunken monolith of Sicily. A forgotten pillar from before history. Just off the coast of Sicily, near the Pantelleria Vecchia bank in the Mediterranean Sea, something ancient rests on the ocean floor. It isn't part of a shipwreck. It isn't a coral reef. It's a monolith, a single massive stone pillar lying broken and buried under 130 feet of water. It wasn't placed there by modern hands. Measuring over 39 feet in length and weighing an estimated 15 tons, the monolith is carved from limestone. But what makes it truly extraordinary isn't just its size, it's what's been done to it. Perfectly round holes have been drilled through its core, one running clean through from side to side, the kind of precision that suggests deliberate design. And the kicker? It's over 10,000 years old. That dates it to a time long before the pyramids, before Stonehenge, even before written history. A time when, according to most textbooks, humans were still hunter-gatherers, just beginning to form small villages. So, how did such a massive, engineered object end up beneath the sea? Geologists believe the area where the monolith was found was once dry land, part of a land bridge that connected Sicily to Tunisia, before rising sea levels swallowed it at the end of the last ice age. That would mean this stone was quarried, shaped, and raised by people we know almost nothing about. People who had the tools, the knowledge, and the strength to move monoliths. It doesn't match any known culture in the region. There are no ruins nearby, no temples, no statues, just one ancient stone, lying silently on the seafloor. Some call it evidence of a forgotten civilization. Others suggest it was part of an ancient observatory or ritual site. Or maybe it was just the beginning of something, never finished, lost when the ocean reclaimed the land. The stone now lies broken, cracked in two as if it fell long ago. Barnacles cover its surface. Fish swim lazily through its hollow eye. But the questions remain. Who carved it? Why was it there? And what else might still be waiting beneath the Mediterranean? Not all history is written in books. Some of it is written in stone. And then buried by the sea. 15. The UFO off Malibu. The doorway beneath the waves. Just off the coast of Malibu, California, beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean, lies a structure so strange, so perfectly geometric, that some believe it doesn't belong to our world at all. It first gained attention in 2014, when researchers using Google Earth's ocean mapping tools noticed something odd near Point Dume. At a depth of about 2,000 feet, a massive, flat-topped formation with nearly perfect symmetry stretched across the ocean floor. It was over 2.5 miles wide, its roof smooth and unusually level, like a platform. But what truly caught everyone's attention were the pillars. Beneath the platform, several enormous vertical columns seem to hold up the structure, creating the illusion of a hollowed space underneath, almost like an entrance. Some dubbed it the Malibu Underwater Base. Others simply called it the Doorway. The formation looked nothing like the surrounding terrain. While most ocean floor features in the area are jagged and uneven, this anomaly was flat, symmetrical, and, in parts, unnaturally clean. It didn't match the local geology. Skeptics argue it's a natural formation, an eroded shelf or a trick of sonar imaging. But those who've studied the coordinates insist the measurements are too precise, the straight lines too sharp, the shape too deliberate. And then there are the reports. Locals have long whispered about strange lights in the skies over Malibu, craft that vanish into the sea, glowing objects that hover silently above the waves before plunging into the water without a splash. Fishermen speak of equipment going dead near that spot. Divers avoid it. And to this day, there has been no official expedition to explore the formation directly. Government agencies have remained quiet. No research has been funded. The anomaly remains untouched. Some believe it's a natural cave system. Others think it's an ancient ruin from a lost civilization. Maybe even something non-human. A structure built to remain hidden, buried beneath the sea, shielded by water and time. It hasn't moved. It doesn't hum. But it sits there still, unblinking, unchanging, like a forgotten door that no one dares to knock on. And maybe one that should stay closed. 16. The Lagarfliot worm, the serpent beneath the surface. In the cold, still waters of Lagarfliot Lake in eastern Iceland, legends tell of something ancient that moves just beneath the surface. It's not a whale, not a fish. It's much, much older and far stranger. They call it the Lagarfliot worm. Described for centuries as a massive serpent-like creature, the worm is said to stretch over 300 feet long, with a thick, coiling body that ripples across the water in slow, undulating waves. Its head is rarely seen. Most only witness the movement, a long, sinuous form breaking the surface in segments, like a dragon swimming in silence. The earliest written accounts go back to 1345, when villagers described seeing the creature during times of great upheaval or natural disaster. They believed the worm was a bad omen, a guardian of the lake, or perhaps a prisoner bound to it. And this isn't just folklore whispered around fires. In 2012, a video surfaced online showing what appeared to be a long, pale shape gliding through the icy water, twisting and turning just below the surface. The footage was shaky and unclear, but it reignited the legend worldwide. Some dismissed it as floating ice or an optical illusion. Others swore it was real, that it matched the descriptions perfectly. Unlike the Loch Ness monster, the Lagarfliot worm isn't considered shy. It's said to rise more often during storms or when the lake is eerily calm. Some believe it's tied to geothermal activity below the waterline, perhaps a prehistoric creature that adapted to the depths, surviving alone, hidden beneath centuries of mist and myth. There's even a local tale of how it came to be. A young girl placed a tiny worm in a chest with gold. When she opened it years later, the worm had grown, giant and twisted, fused with the treasure. Terrified, the villagers threw it into the lake, where it grew even larger, never dying, never leaving. Today, a large statue of the creature coils on the lake's shore, part folklore, part warning. Whether myth or misunderstood biology, one thing is certain. Something stirs beneath Lagarfliot's surface. Maybe it's just a story, or maybe the old tales were never just tales, and the worm is still down there, waiting in the dark. 17. The train graveyard. Off New Jersey, engines lost at sea. Beneath the waves off the coast of New Jersey, not far from the bustling shoreline and busy ports, lie two perfectly preserved steam locomotives resting quietly on the ocean floor. There is no railway, no wreckage from a ship, no signs of disaster, just two trains, side by side, nearly intact. They were first discovered in 1985 by a team of divers exploring a well-travelled shipping route. What they found shocked them. 2 19th-century steam engines, sitting upright under 90 feet of water. No one had ever reported them missing. There were no newspaper articles, no shipping records, no logs of any train-laden vessel going down in that area. They simply appeared. The locomotives are small, Planet Class 222s, an early type used around the 1850s. Rare, almost museum-level artifacts, but no museum claimed them. No company, railroad, or maritime office had any record of their existence. To this day, how they ended up on the seafloor remains a total mystery. Some believe they were being transported by barge when a storm rolled in and the vessel capsized. But if that were the case, where is the rest of the barge? Why are the trains not damaged? Why was no wreckage ever found nearby? Why was there no official report? Other theories go deeper. Perhaps they were dumped deliberately, tossed into the sea to hide something. Or maybe they were part of a secret shipment, undocumented and buried before they could be traced. Some even whisper about timelines crossing, relics slipping through cracks in reality. But the most unsettling detail? The trains are slowly being buried by sand, as if the ocean is reclaiming them, hiding them again. Divers say it's an eerie experience. The locomotives look as if they could still run, their heavy wheels frozen in time. Marine life clings to the rusting metal, and currents swirl softly around the silent giants. They are graves without headstones, passengers without names, engines without a journey. 2 locomotives, no crew, no explanation, no history. Just silence beneath the surf, waiting in the dark. 18. The 52 Hertz whale, the world's loneliest voice. In the vast, echoing chambers of the Pacific Ocean, scientists have been listening to the songs of whales for decades. Blue whales, humpbacks, and fin whales each sing in their own deep frequencies, low, resonant calls that can travel hundreds of miles underwater. But in 1989, something different was heard. A strange, solitary voice singing at a frequency no other whale uses. 52 hertz, too high for a blue whale, too low for most other marine animals. The sound didn't match any known species, and it was always alone, never overlapping with the calls of other whales, never answered, never accompanied. They call it the 52 Hertz whale. Each year it migrates like other whales travelling through the deep. But no pod joins it, no companion replies. Its voice is out of tune with the world around it. Scientists have tracked its path, but they've never seen it, only heard it. Just one signal, one set of footsteps in an endless hallway. Some believe it's a hybrid, a genetic anomaly, born with the wrong vocal cords. Others suggest it's a completely unknown species, one that has managed to survive in isolation. And some, more romantically, see it as a symbol of loneliness, calling out year after year into a world that doesn't understand. There's something haunting about that idea. A creature crossing entire oceans with no one to hear it. Its song isn't weak. It's powerful, consistent, unwavering. It echoes like all the others, just different, misaligned, as if it lives in a parallel rhythm, out of sync with the rest of the world. Some marine biologists believe it may have died long ago. Others insist it's still out there, calling. And if it's still singing, it's been doing so for over 3 decades. But what truly lingers is the mystery. If it's alone, has it always been? Or was there once another that sang in the same key, now lost? And if it's not alone, then who or what sings at 52 hertz? Perhaps one night soon, that lonely call will be answered. Or perhaps some songs are meant to echo unanswered, forever drifting in the deep. One voice, one frequency, and an entire ocean of silence. 19. The underwater wall of India, a barrier built before time. Off the western coast of India, near the Gulf of Kambat, scientists exploring the seabed made a discovery that quietly challenged our understanding of early human civilization. Beneath the murky, sediment-heavy waters, sonar scans revealed something startling: a massive stone wall stretching for miles. Not a jagged cliff or a natural ridge, but a linear structure, long, straight, and eerily uniform. In some places, the wall appears to be made of interlocking blocks, similar to megalithic constructions found in ancient cities. But here's the mystery: it's buried under 120 feet of water. In 2001, a joint team from India's National Institute of Ocean Technology and the Geological Survey of India began examining the area. Alongside the wall-like structure, they found symmetrical depressions, grid-like patterns, and what appeared to be ruins of a city. Roads, foundations, and even what looked like stepwells, buried beneath layers of silt. Artifacts recovered from the site, pottery, tools, and human bones, were dated to more than 9,000 years old. That would place this underwater settlement well before the rise of the Indus Valley civilization and long before Mesopotamia or Egypt. If verified, it would be one of the oldest known urban settlements on Earth. And yet, despite the groundbreaking potential of this find, the site remains largely unacknowledged in mainstream archaeology. Research was halted, further exploration was deemed inconclusive, and the ruins were quietly left alone, still resting beneath the water, forgotten by time and policy. Why? Some say the evidence challenges too many established timelines. Others claim the structures are natural, despite their unnatural regularity. But the images and samples tell another story, of a civilization that once stood along a thriving coastline, long before the ocean swallowed it whole. Locals speak of Dwarka, a legendary sunken city ruled by the god Krishna, lost beneath the sea after a celestial war. For centuries, it was dismissed as myth. But now, maybe not. The wall remains, silent, ancient, too straight to be coincidence, too massive to be ignored, a mystery carved in stone, now hidden by water and time. If this was once a city, it was erased not by fire or conquest, but by the sea itself. And perhaps that wasn't an accident. 20. The whistle of Ross Sea. The note that shouldn't exist. In the icy realm of Antarctica, where wind howls across endless plains of white and the sea groans beneath frozen sheets, scientists recorded something unexpected. A whistle. Not a whale. Not ice shifting. Not the creak of a glacier. But a high-pitched tone, clear, focused, and persistent, emerging from the deep waters of the Ross Sea. Captured by underwater hydrophones during a routine acoustic survey, the sound was unlike anything heard before. It came on a crisp December evening, a single rising note, like a faint siren echoing from the dark. It lasted less than a minute, but returned the next day, and again the next. Always the same pitch, always the same time, just before midnight. The team assumed it was equipment failure, but the recordings were clean. No static, no mechanical interference, just the same soft whistle, as if something down there was singing. For weeks it repeated, never louder, never closer. Then, without warning, it stopped. Just silence. No explanation ever surfaced. Whales don't migrate through that region during that season. Icequakes don't make tones that pure. And man-made sources were ruled out. There were no ships in range, no submarines, nothing human at all. The Ross Sea is one of the most remote and untouched parts of our planet. It stretches for hundreds of miles, bordered by ice shelves and shadowed by the continent's quiet fury. Its depths are barely explored, its mysteries uncounted. Some believe the whistle was a signal, intentional or not. Others call it an anomaly, a one-time fluke of sound and pressure. But some, especially those who've studied ocean acoustics for decades, say they've never heard anything like it. The tone wasn't chaotic, it wasn't wild, it was musical. And that's what unsettled them most, because when nature speaks, it's usually in roars, groans, cracks, and crashes. Not perfect notes, not midnight songs. The ocean, after all, is not an instrument. But what if something beneath the ice is playing one? To this day, the whistle of Ross Sea has not returned. It was heard. It was recorded. And then, like a performer leaving the stage, it vanished. Whatever it was, it knew its audience. 21. The anomalous zone of Lake Vostok. Life trapped beneath a glacier. Hidden beneath over 2 miles of Antarctic ice, sealed away from sunlight for over 15 million years, lies one of Earth's strangest and most isolated bodies of water, Lake Vostok. It was discovered in the 1990s through radar imaging, a massive subglacial lake the size of Lake Ontario, kept liquid by geothermal heat from below and the crushing pressure of the ice above. An untouched world, completely sealed off from the surface. And then things got strange. When Russian scientists began drilling into the lake in 2012, they were careful not to contaminate it. The pressure burst upward when they broke through, forcing a plume of lake water up through the borehole, which quickly froze. Samples taken from the ice later showed bizarre microbial life, unlike anything seen on the surface. Some sequences didn't match any known species. Life evolved in isolation, in darkness, in silence. Then came the anomalies. Before the final drilling stage, instruments began acting strangely. Magnetic sensors picked up strange fluctuations near the lake. Seismic readings hinted at something moving deep below. And some of the researchers reported what they described as a low vibration felt through the ice. Faint, rhythmic, almost like a pulse. More unsettling? Satellite images around the region showed heat signatures, glowing hotspots beneath the ice, as if something down there was active and warm. Official reports were cautious. They focused on microbial life, on climate data. But the rumors spread quickly, that the team found more than bacteria, that parts of the lake's bed seemed artificial, symmetrical ridges, structured patterns. Some even claimed a second chamber was found, cut off from the main lake, where sensors failed completely. The Russian team stopped their drilling soon after. Why? Some say it was due to contamination fears. Others believe they were told to stop. Lake Vostok remains sealed again, locked in ice and mystery. But something was found down there. Something alien, not because it's from space, but because it's from Earth, yet unlike anything we've known. A world beneath a glacier. Still. Dark. Breathing. And perhaps still evolving. 22. The teleporting submarine report. A glitch in the deep. In the shadowy world of naval operations, where silence is strategy and movement is masked by layers of secrecy, strange events are often buried quietly. One such event, spoken of only in whispers, comes from a classified naval test conducted somewhere in the North Atlantic. A nuclear-powered submarine, part of a routine deep-sea maneuvering drill, was tracked by satellite and sonar at a depth of nearly 1,000 feet. All systems were functioning. The crew was stable. The vessel was following its charted course. And then, without warning, it disappeared. Not gradually, not through mechanical failure, but instantly. All sonar contact was lost. Satellite pings went dark. Emergency protocols were triggered. For 7 full minutes, the submarine was completely untraceable, as if it had vanished from the ocean itself. Then, just as suddenly, it reappeared, 30 nautical miles from its last known location. There was no sign of propulsion, no wake in the water, no disturbance at the surface. The crew was unharmed. The equipment registered no errors. Internal logs showed no gap in their journey. From their perspective, they had remained on course the entire time. But to the outside world, the sub had teleported. The incident was immediately classified. The crew debriefed. Equipment confiscated. The official explanation cited a temporary communications blackout due to sonar distortion, standard language for something unexplained. Yet those involved never forgot. One sonar technician claimed the vessel had blinked on the radar, vanishing and reappearing so cleanly It defied all known technology. Others noted a strange hum in the communication line seconds before the disappearance, like a tone not heard before or since. Conspiracy theorists later called it evidence of wormholes, experimental technology, or even underwater portals. But inside military circles, it became known more simply as the teleporting submarine case, an event no one could explain and no one was allowed to study. Whatever happened during those 7 minutes remains locked in a vault of silence. But one question still lingers in the minds of those who know. What if, just for a moment, the submarine wasn't on this Earth at all? Just a glitch in the deep, a slip through something we weren't meant to see. And then, just like that, it came back. 23. The undersea hum, a vibration from nowhere. Across coastal towns and remote islands, a quiet mystery persists, one not carried by waves but by vibrations. It isn't loud, it isn't sudden, it's subtle, steady, and deeply unsettling. They call it the hum. First reported in the 1970s, this low-frequency hum has been heard and felt by people living near the sea in locations across the globe. From the coast of the UK to New Zealand, from the beaches of Canada to the shores of Japan, the pattern is the same. A deep, droning tone that seems to rise from the ocean itself. It doesn't come from the air. It doesn't echo from land. It resonates through walls, floors, and bones, like the earth itself is humming a note only some can hear. Sensitive microphones and seismic instruments have confirmed the sound's existence, though pinpointing its origin has proven impossible. It defies distance, sometimes heard inland, sometimes only at the coast. And yet, strangely, not everyone can hear it. Roughly 2% of the population seems to perceive it, often middle-aged, often in quiet environments. Some describe it as a distant engine idling. Others say it's more like a pulse, soft but constant, as if something enormous is breathing beneath the sea. Various explanations have been proposed: submarine communication systems, deep-sea mining, geological shifts, or pressure from ocean currents. But none fully account for the frequency, the global reach, or the eerie consistency of the phenomenon. In 2006, a town in the UK conducted an investigation. They shut off local machinery, cut power to distant grids. But still, the hum continued. It wasn't coming from them, it was coming from below. Some scientists now believe the hum might originate from microseismic activity, tiny tremors caused by waves interacting with the seafloor. Others believe it could be biological, an unknown species, a long-distance communication method we haven't yet discovered. And then there are the more esoteric theories, that it's a signal, a call, a kind of planetary sonar, either natural or not, meant to be heard by few and understood by none. To this day, the hum continues, unseen, unclaimed, unsolved, not loud enough to scare, not soft enough to ignore, just there, beneath everything, waiting to be noticed. 24. The ghost submarine of the Arctic, the vessel that shouldn't exist. In the frozen reaches of the Arctic Circle, where sunlight barely touches the sea and sonar signals are swallowed by layers of ice, something unexpected was detected. Not an iceberg, not a whale, but a submarine. In 2013, a NATO listening post near Greenland registered the unmistakable acoustic profile of a nuclear-powered submarine moving beneath the ice shelf. Its sound signature was clean, powerful, deliberate, and consistent with advanced underwater propulsion. For a moment, it looked like just another stealth vessel gliding through dark waters. But then came the questions. No NATO sub was in the area. No Allied navies had reported maneuvers, and when inquiries were made, every major military denied ownership. The submarine didn't respond to pings, it didn't transmit a signal, and when satellites were redirected to scan the region, there was nothing there. It had vanished. In the following days, other anomalies were reported. An unmarked sonar contact shadowed a Russian icebreaker for over 2 hours before vanishing beneath the seabed. In another case, Norwegian listening posts caught a strange series of acoustic pulses, similar to Morse code, but far more complex. Military officials quietly labelled it a rogue signal. Classified memos referred to it as the Phantom Submarine or the Ghost Echo. But unofficially, those who heard the tapes knew something was wrong. The sound wasn't just unfamiliar, it was wrong. It didn't fully match any known engine. Some researchers said it had a rhythm, like a heartbeat. Others noticed strange harmonics in the echo, as if the craft was using a form of propulsion not yet understood. There are those who believe it was experimental technology, a stealth sub decades ahead of anything known. Others whisper it wasn't human at all, that the Arctic, vast and uncharted, hides something deeper than we're prepared to acknowledge. No images were captured, no debris ever found, just data and silence. To this day, the incident is omitted from official records. The region is still monitored, still listening, because whatever moved beneath the ice that year, it moved with purpose. It moved unseen, and it moved like it had been there before, watching, and perhaps waiting to be seen again. 25. The Blue Holes of the Bahamas, Gateways to the Unknown. Scattered across the turquoise waters of the Bahamas are deep, dark circles that seem to swallow the sea itself, perfectly round, unnaturally still, and plunging hundreds of feet into the earth. These are the blue holes. At first glance they appear tranquil, glass-like surfaces surrounded by vibrant coral reefs, but beneath the surface lies something far more unsettling. These underwater sinkholes drop straight down, some deeper than skyscrapers, with twisting tunnels and narrow passages that disappear into blackness. Local legend says they are bottomless, cursed by the spirits of drowned souls. Divers tell stories of powerful currents that come from nowhere, pulling them off course. Compasses spin, lights flicker. Even experienced cave divers have entered and never returned. The most infamous of them all is Dean's Blue Hole, over 660 feet deep. It's one of the deepest known saltwater sinkholes on Earth. Its walls drop steeply into darkness, and strange thermoclines, layers of different temperatures and salinity, create visual distortions and odd sensations. Some divers describe it as stepping into another world, where time and direction lose all meaning. But the mystery doesn't end with its depth. In recent years, scientists studying these formations have recorded magnetic anomalies and unexplained shifts in pressure near the entrances to certain blue holes. Equipment malfunctions are common, and sonar scans sometimes fail to return at all, as if the signal is being absorbed. More curiously, some of the caves below the holes extend far beyond what should be geologically possible. Caverns wind for miles inland, with no known exit, and strange rock formations that don't match the surrounding geology. Some believe these tunnels may connect to older cave systems, perhaps even to undiscovered chambers deeper in the earth. And then there are the sounds. Divers have occasionally reported hearing faint, low-frequency noises deep inside the tunnels. Dull thumps, rhythmic pulses, and once, what sounded like a distant voice. The origin of the blue holes is still debated. Some formed during the last ice age, when sea levels were lower. Others may be older, far older, but no one truly knows what lies at their very bottom. Perhaps they are just sinkholes, or perhaps they are doors to another time, another world, or something we were never meant to find. 26. The snake structure of the Atlantic Ridge, a pattern beneath the sea. Running through the center of the Atlantic Ocean like a hidden scar is the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, a vast underwater mountain chain that stretches for over 10,000 miles. It's a place of deep tectonic activity, where the Earth's crust pulls apart and new ocean floor is born. Scientists have mapped much of it, but not all. And in one unmapped section, just north of the Azores, sonar scans revealed something curious. A pattern, not a mountain, not a crack, but a series of ridges, long, winding, symmetrical, resembling the coils of a serpent etched into the seabed. They call it the snake structure. It stretches for miles, curving with strange precision. The ridges are evenly spaced, their paths twisting like a labyrinth, but never intersecting. It doesn't resemble any known geological formation, and no volcanic activity has ever been recorded in that area. At first, the team believed it was a data glitch, but multiple scans from different vessels and instruments showed the same shape. A perfect winding path, resting nearly 3 miles beneath the surface. What created it? Some suggested underwater landslides, but landslides leave debris, chaos, broken patterns. The snake structure is organised. Others proposed underwater lava tubes, but there's no volcanic material in the area. A few speculated it could be the remnants of a collapsed ancient structure, something massive, engineered long ago, now buried and reshaped by sediment and time. But that would suggest a civilization existed in the middle of the Atlantic, one we've never known. And then there's the more esoteric theory, that it's not a ruin, but something active, that the ridges are not collapsed, but constructed. A message? A machine? Or something entirely beyond comprehension? Strangely, every time expeditions plan to return, they are delayed by funding cuts, shifting political interests, or technical difficulties. The area remains mostly unmapped, shrouded by deep currents and secrecy. But the snake is still there, quiet, curled into the Earth's crust like a fossil no one buried. A mark not of nature, but of intention. And if it was placed there, who or what was the architect? In the deep, the past isn't written in books. It's written in the bedrock, and sometimes it slithers. 27. The last signal. A message from the deep. In the early hours of March 23, 2004, a US Navy listening array in the Indian Ocean picked up something unexpected. A burst of sound. Not just any sound, but a pulse. Rhythmic, intentional, structured. It wasn't an earthquake, it wasn't a whale, it wasn't static, it was a signal. Short bursts, evenly spaced. Then a pause, then again, like a code. Analysts scrambled to interpret the pattern. Some thought it resembled Morse code, though no standard sequence could be matched. The duration was only 37 seconds, but it repeated exactly 3 times before going silent. Triangulation placed the origin deep in a trench east of Madagascar, thousands of feet below the surface, in one of the least explored regions of the ocean. A place with no known activity. No ships, no submersibles, no undersea cables, just dark water. And then, nothing. Naval protocol demanded investigation, but there was nothing to find. No vessels missing, no sonar contacts, no aftershocks. Just that one anomaly, pulsing from the depths. Unofficially, some analysts referred to it as the last signal. Not because it was final, but because it felt final, like the end of a sentence, or a door closing. A year later, a declassified transcript revealed something odd. The pattern, when converted into binary, formed a repeating structure. 1 long, 3 short, 1 long. A symmetrical wave. Mathematicians noted it resembled a distress call, but one encoded in pure timing, not language. But distress from what? And from whom? No new signals have ever come from the region since, and attempts to send sonar pings into the same coordinates have returned strangely muted echoes, as if the ocean itself no longer reflects that place. Some speculate it was a failed communication attempt, from a lost civilization, from deep-sea intelligence, or something far older. Others believe it was a machine, a beacon waking up after eons of silence, broadcasting a single message before dying out. Or maybe it was never meant for us at all, a signal cast into the void, heard by accident, answered by no one, but still echoing just beneath the waves, waiting for someone who understands and wondering if it ever will.